I'm moving, I'm moving, I'm moving, I'm moving, I'm moving, I'm moving.
What's good, guys? It's your boy Jay, that's me. Let's get into Under Siege for May the 26th, 2023. This was a pretty decent Impact Plus event for the most part. I enjoyed it. That ending kicked major ass. That ending, for me, saved the show. It ended the show on a very, very good high note. And we'll talk about that when we get there. But for the most part, this show was actually okay. It wasn't too bad. It could have been a lot better in some instances, but for the most part, it was alright. But that ending was great. So, let's get into the countdown, and then quickly, and then we'll get into the main show, the main card. Okay, so the Death Dolls, that being Courtney, Rush, and Jessica, they defeated the Coven in a non-title match. So I assume we're probably going to get another match for the tag titles probably next week, I would imagine. Or maybe they might just build it up and do the match at Against All Odds. Who knows? Next, Joe Hendry versus Dirty Dango for the Digital Media Championship. Dirty Dango did a low blow in front of the referee. So Joe Hendry, he retained via DQ. Santino, he returned to seek revenge on Dirty Dango. On to the main card. So first match was actually pretty decent. Kenny King versus Nick Aldis. So towards the end of the match, Sheldon, Gene got involved. Nick Aldis was able to take care of him. That allowed him to lock in the Texas Cloverleaf. Kenny King tapped out. Pretty decent little match here. It made sense. Again, I'm predicting that they'll probably end up putting Kenny King with Sheldon Gene as a tag team. I think that's going to be the direction they're going to go with Kenny King moving forward. It actually would make the most sense if we're being honest. I mean, he can't challenge for the Exhibition Championship, basically, because Trey Miguel is a heel. They're not going to put him in the world title picture because Steve Maclin's a heel. And Kenny King damn sure doesn't need to belittle himself and deal with the Digital Media Championship. So, there's that. Post-match, Nick Aldis, he's heading up the ramp, and so he points off, and we see some chaos in the crowd. So we see Killer Kelly and Masha Slamovich, they're brawling. They're beating the shit out of each other. It's a pretty decent crowd. It's like 1,500 people. So the brawl eventually spills into the ring. It's a straight-up fight. So Killer Kelly, she then brings in a steel chain, and she chokes out Masha Slamovich, and it was great. I loved it. I was like, oh, shit, that's my girl. Killer Kelly is bad. She is mad sexy. Oh, my God. Damn. But officials, they came out and they got control of the situation. So that's pretty cool. They're probably going to end up doing a match at Against All Odds. So I did like that. A pretty good little way to kind of have unexpected stuff happen, and this was a good little way to do it. I enjoyed it. It was short and sweet and to the point. It was great. This is something that they should do in AEW and WWE. Take note. Again, this is why I'm glad that Trinity went with Impact. Impact treats their women's division right. They honestly have the best women's division in all of North America. They don't have the crowds that AEW and WWE can get, but they have a damn good, solid women's division. I'll tell you that much. Next, Gia Miller, she's backstage with Jordynne Grace. So Jordynne Grace talks about how she's been through a lot this year so far. Jordynne Grace feels if by losing tonight, she won't be the face of the division or the best for that matter. Jordynne Grace also wonders exactly what does it make her if she doesn't come through in her match against Deonna Purrazzo. And the stipulation is if Jordynne Grace loses, she can't compete for the Knockouts Championship as long as Deonna Purrazzo is the champion. So that was a good little promo. I enjoyed it. It makes sense. It gave Jordynne a little bit of sympathy. Moving on, Rich Swann, Sami Callihan, and a returning Jake Crist. He's back. Took on the design, which is Angels, Diener, and Khan. Who cares? I hated this match. It sucked. It was okay. Rich Swann, he gets a roll-up victory for the 1-2-3. Who gives a shit? Like, I don't like it, though. Like, I told you. This design shit, end it. Next, Trinity versus Gisele Shaw. Trinity wins via Starstruck. She was able to take out both Jay Vidal and Savannah Evans when they got involved. So that makes sense. Hopefully, Trinity will feud with Savannah Evans next and then move on. Again, I'm predicting that she'll probably end up taking on Deonna Purrazzo at Bound for Glory and dethroning her there, which would make the most sense. Trinity hasn't missed a beat at all. She had a really good match with Kylan King last week, and her and Gisele Shaw kind of went the distance. A little bit too long for my liking, but it was still good nonetheless. So, next, we get a promo from Subculture, which is Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan, along with Danny Luna. So all these guys are from NXT UK, basically, so it's kind of cool. I expect more people from, I expect more people from the UK who are in WWE, if and when they get released, to come to Impact. I think that'd be kind of interesting, to say the very least. Like, I could see Tyler Bate in Impact. I could see a couple other people in Impact. I could see Pete Dunne in Impact as well. I really could. Like, I'm being honest. I don't see a lot of these guys, being sought after by one Tony Khan. That's just what I'm going to go ahead and say. Tyler Bate, same thing. Let's just be honest. But they all cut promos before the match. And the most pathetic guy in the world, that being Brian Myers, he walks up and he mentions that the good hands are going to take care of you guys if you win. So who cares? So that leads us into the Ace and Bay Connection taking on Subculture. This is a pretty good, solid match. Ace Austin and Chris Bay win via the Art of Finesse into the fold for the 1-2-3. Really cool spot in the match where Chris Bay did a double Frankensteiner, taking out both Mark Andrews and Flash Webster. That was cool. And he got a holy shit chant from the crowd. I was like, oh shit, that was good. And then also there was one spot in the match where I believe it was Flash Webster. He got on the rope and he did a spaceman plunge and took out everybody. That got a holy shit chant right there. So all in all, it was pretty cool. I enjoyed that match for the most part. But like I said, it was a spot fest. Again, I look for them to do more with subculture. Moving on. Trey Miguel versus Chris Sabin. This is a decent match right here as well. There was a ref bump for whatever reason. I have no idea why. So, Chris Sabin, he hit the shell shock. The ref was down. The fans counted to 3. The ref was able to come to. Trey Miguel got the spray bottle, sprayed the eyes of Chris Sabin. He rolled up Chris Sabin for the 1, 2, 3. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense here. Moving on. The number 1 contenders match for the Impact World Championship. Alex Shelley versus Eddie Edwards versus Frankie Kazarian versus Jonathan Gresham versus Moose versus Yuya Uemura. Alex Shelley gets the win here via the shell shock to Yuya Uemura. Again, this was an okay match. I really wasn't all that invested in it. I thought that they were going to have Frankie win, but I kind of figured they were going to go with Alex Shelley. They'll probably end up using Frankie Kazarian as we get closer to Slammiversary and build up a feud between him and Maclin there. So that's fine. There was an altercation between Trey Miguel and Chris Sabin. So Trey Miguel was being interviewed by Gia Miller, and Chris Sabin butt in. He shoved Trey Miguel, and they had some choice words. So they're going to continue their little feud, probably against that All Odds. It'll probably be like a 2 out of 3 falls match, I would assume. Next, Jordynne Grace versus Deonna Purrazzo. Really good match right here. I dug it. Deonna Purrazzo was able to retain via the Queen's Gambit from the top rope, 1, 2, 3, because she reversed the Grace driver from the top rope, that being Deonna Purrazzo, and Jordynne Grace loses. It seems like Jordynne Grace might be done with Impact, and she probably is going to be a free agent. I don't see Tony Khan signing her. I do see her going to WWE. It's a possibility for sure. I could see Triple H signing her for sure. I could see Vince signing her as well. To me, she just fits in WWE because you have those massive tall girls in Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, and Raquel Rodriguez. And when you add Jordynne Grace into the mix, that's 4. So you can build a company around those 4. So that could be their new 4 horsewomen right there, if we're being honest. I think Jordynne Grace is in her early 30s, I think. I'm not sure how old she is, but I think she's in her early 30s. But that's where I see Jordynne Grace going, since she's a free agent. Main event, Steve Maclin versus PCO. No DQ. This was great. I loved it. Maclin bled buckets like within the first 3 minutes of the match. He was bleeding buckets. I forgot how he bled. There was this one crazy spot in the match where Steve Maclin literally got a staple gun and staped the lips of PCO shut. And I was like, oh, shit. The crowd popped massive for that. That was a crazy spot right there. So towards the end of the match, Maclin brings in the couple pieces of cardboard, of concrete. He puts them on the back of PCO. He does the sledgehammer spot, and I'm pissed off because PCO does not sell it. He doesn't sell it at all. He gets a 2 count. So then PCO, he brings in center blocks. It's like 5 of them. And so Maclin hits a back suplex on the blocks, and then he follows it up with the killed in action, a.k.a. the KIA for the 1, 2, 3. This was great. It didn't last long. It only went about 12 minutes. So I enjoyed that. Post-match, Scott D'Amore comes out. So Scott then puts the title around the waist of Steve Maclin. So then Scott D'Amore extends his hand to Maclin. Maclin scoffs at him and dips out. Bully Ray comes out from behind with a strap. He chokes out Scott D'Amore. So Bully looks at Maclin, tells him to get the table. They set it up. So they light it with lighter fluid, a bunch of it. Matthew Waywall, he gets off of commentary and tries to talk some sense into Bully and Steve Maclin, but he eats a right from Bully. PCO gets back in the ring, attempt to make the save, but him and Maclin, they slug it out. The Mustang Machine Guns, they come out next, and then they get taken out as well. And then Bully pours lighter fluid on the table. He lights the table, and both he and Steve Maclin powerbomb Scott D'Amore through the table. And I'm like, oh shit, this was great. And kudos to Tom Hannafin on commentary. He called Bully Ray a son of a bitch and everything else. Like, I loved it. This was absolutely great. Absolutely tremendous. Absolutely great. So Bully tells Scott that he's in Impact forever, as he promises to bring down the company. And then him and Maclin, they celebrate as the show goes off the air. That was great. I absolutely loved it. Tremendous stuff here. Tremendous. This was great. So much heat. Man. Bully made Maclin into $1 million, man. That is great. I am pumped to see this. I'm pumped to see what happens next. This was great. I loved it. So a really good ending to end Under Siege. Under Siege overall was okay for the most part. But what did you guys think? Please hit the like button, comment down below, and subscribe to my videos. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.